Hello, everyone. My name is Nathan Rogers. I'm presenting to you today from humble Denver, Colorado. I'm the latest of the new members to the Dyalog team. I guess Josh is technically the latest, but I joined probably about a month before Josh. So I've been with Dyalog as part of the USA consulting team, along with Brian and Josh. And Yeah, so a little bit about me. I have been doing software development after my time in the United States military. I've done everything from .NET to uh, web development, Python. We've done um, network automation and web UI development as part of my career being a software developer. When about 2 years ago now, I discovered APL and just absolutely fell in love with it. I've been harassing Adam online on APL with questions and um, just absolutely fell in love with APL. So that's what brings me to you guys today. Um, on a more personal note, some things that I'm uh, a real big fan of. I love cycling. If you ever bump into me and you guys want to talk about your latest um, ride, or if you're a fan of professional cycling, I'm a huge fan. I always have some new bike that I'm looking at buying because I'm a big tech nerd. I love bikes and everything cycling. So another thing that I do, just as a quick aside, the reason I'm not able to present to you guys in person today is because I dance Argentine tango with my lovely wife, and we have a huge performance and rehearsal schedule that we have going on here in Denver. So I'm not able to present to you in person. So it's you know very nice of them to be able to allow me to present via Skype today. What I'm going to be presenting to you today is something that been kind of my first project as a consultant in at Dyalog. Paul Mansour has presented us the opportunity to help provide a APL to Excel tool that can convert APL data structures into Excel spreadsheets. And that's going to be open source on GitHub. That's up right now. Everything that I'm presenting to you, you'll be able to pull from GitHub if you're interested in looking more into that. So let's go ahead and just move straight into the demo. What we're going to be showing today is just the ability to, we have like a rough prototype of actually being able to export APL data structures to Excel spreadsheets. There is a lot of sort of, the only dependency that we have outside of APL is .NET, the System I/O compression library, which means that once .NET Core 5.0 is fully integrated with APL, then we'll be able to bring this cross-platform as well. So let me go ahead and bring up the demo. Okay, we're going to start with Clear Workspace and link the code. Excellent. All right, so we're going to start by creating a name for our first spreadsheet, an address for where we would like to place this text data, and Excel, as far as how it represents data, it has a relational string table in XML. So we have some more complex functionality than simply inlining text. So now let's place these values at the address in the first worksheet. Just going to populate a few more values here. We've got the next address, some arbitrary data. I just chose a list of numbers there. So now we're going to add, this was actually something that was that I had a little bit of trouble with. Brian actually gave me some help. And another clever use of key was to be able to populate things by row, sort of indiscriminately of when you add them. So we're going to add one more sheet just for testing, and let's export that to our Excel file and open the directory where that's going to be. Huzzah! About last Friday, this actually opened for the first time. That was a great moment because before then I kept getting very non-descriptive Excel errors saying something wrong with your XML. Well, that's really helpful. Thank you. So as you can see, we have our first data set, which we inserted at cell A1, and it reflects the same shape of the data. Here we have that second piece of data that I mentioned allows us to sort of add cells indiscriminately because we added cell A1 first, and then cell A2, and then cell F1. You can also see that the shape of the data structures as they're exported to Excel reflect the shape of the APL array also. So you can see here at C4 we have a 4x4 array, and so our new sheet has the same data at cell C4. So that's not very exciting. That's just sort of the plain Jane, hey, look, I can do things with Excel. So let's use kind of a more difficult example just to see what we can do with the tools that we have right now. So we're starting with the days, the number of days per month, and then we have the month and the day names. And then we're going to generate the calendar months, much the same as you would see in your Windows calendar, any kind of calendar program that you use. So you can see here, starting at 1, go to 31, and we have a nice padded 6x7 cell for each calendar. So what we want to do is, for this first example, in one spreadsheet, we're going to start with having a row for the month name, and then a row for the day names, the 6-row calendar, and then a blank line. So we're looking for something like this format, where we have the month name, the weekdays, and then having this sort of nice grid for the calendar. So in order to do that, we're going to start with a 9x12 list of cells starting at the 0th column, so the A column. Now we're going to start by figuring out which cells we want the month of the day and the calendar to be placed at. And we're going to add to the calendar spreadsheet at the month locations. We're going to add the month name there. And so here we have the calendar months. We're going to add at the calendar locations. And then the days, we're going to add those to the worksheets. Let's go ahead and export that to the demo Excel file. All right, then we have a single spreadsheet called calendar. We have the first line of each group here is the month name, followed by the row of days, followed by the 6x7 calendar with a nice line break in between. So that's something that we can do right now with the way things are working with this project. So since we already have this demo working, let me just go ahead and show an inversion of that same idea. We're going to erase the table and start over. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add one word for each month, and then populate that worksheet at cell A1 with the days and A2 with the calendar month. And I must have done something there. There we go. And then we're going to build that. So here you can see we have one sheet per month, and at each one we have a different calendar along with the days. So this is a nice sort of demonstration as the sort of capabilities that we have at present. Now notice that style was kind of just arbitrary text there. We don't presently have the ability to style anything where I'd show you colors, some kind of text formatting. I think that's probably the next objective here. But let's take a look now at the code itself. pardon the load times. Yep. All right, so what we have at the moment is basically a namespace for each XML part. If you're not familiar with the OOXML spec, the goal of this structure is that each namespace that we create reflects the OpenOffice XML specification for that particular part of an xlsx file. Looking at our example here, we can use some kind of zip program to extract. Hello. Yes. Oh, it's being used by another program. Let me close that. Okay. All right, as you can see, that an xlsx file is simply a zipped. I don't know if I can increase the font size here. But basically, we have 3 folders. Each folder has more files inside. So really, it's just a collection of XML files. There we go. It's a collection of .xml files that are then zipped together using the compression library from .NET. And that creates an xlsx file. That's something that Excel knows how to open. So what we've done is basically organize things by their different OpenOffice XML parts so that they generate the XML required for that particular part. And then that gets zipped up into a file in this build namespace. Now, the eventual goal, as far as the design, is to obfuscate all of this out of the way so that you don't need to know the nitty-gritty, you don't need to know the OpenOffice XML spec or know anything about XML, but then that we would build a interface of APL functions on top of this that would allow you to just simply pass in your data structures and generate an XML, or sorry, an XLSX file as a result. So with that in mind, things that we'll be working on soon in the future are the adding styles and themes as far as the low-level capabilities. And then from there being the desire is to build some kind of easier to use UI that doesn't require knowledge of the specification in order to use the library. So that's my presentation. Does anyone have any questions?
So to clarify the whole discussion on this thing, there's a standard open document format that all the major Word systems, including OpenOffice and Microsoft, are using. Is that correct? And you're using that specification?
Yes, they're using that specification, and that specification has a lot of different individual components inside the XML. There's also different classes and properties that you can use that are specific to the OOXML that aren't just general XML capabilities.
So do you plan to, what's the possibilities for integration with things like the graphing utilities in Excel or the formulas, and how do you see this project position? Where would you situate it in terms of available utilities? When would you want to use it? When would you not want to use it? That kind of thing.
So as far as formulas go, that is something that is desire. In the initial discussion with Paul Mansour, he kind of gave us a list of requirements for him, and formulas are on the docket. They're sort of a MVP priority to incorporate and actually get working. They're not working at the moment. Styles, formulas, formatting, especially date formatting, number formatting, and formula. Those are all first priority next steps for this project.
And I would add, as to where you would use it, I would say everywhere. At the moment, most people use OLE automation to create Excel spreadsheets, which is something that Microsoft explicitly recommends that you do not do. particularly not on a server. Running a server and using OLE automation to create spreadsheets is directly discouraged if you read Microsoft's documentation. Whereas this would be a perfectly safe technology to run under Windows, Linux, Mac. It'll be faster probably than spinning up Excel and so on. So particularly on servers, but I would actually say any application that generates Excel spreadsheets, I would recommend this when it's done.
Yeah, I'll add, we have a need for, we have a case where we have a server where we're not allowed to install Office, but we'd like to create Excel readable files that we can then, automatically move to another location. So this would be highly useful there. So a couple questions. Based on your experience so far, how easy would it be for you to do freeze panes? Do you know what I'm requesting?
I missed the last word there.
How easy would it be for you to implement freeze panes? So when you write a file, specify where you want to freeze the panes. Are you familiar with the Excel freeze panes option? Allows you to...
Freeze pane?
Yeah, freeze panes. Set where, when you scroll, which is locked.
I would need to get back to you. Please, let Morten know how I can get in touch with you. I'd have to look into that and get an answer to you.
Okay, so we need that. We need a standard footer so that in each of our spreadsheets, when we write them out, we need to include a line that says the ExxonMobil proprietary. So
as far as a footer, that I have come across, and that should be pretty straightforward to incorporate.
Excellent.
So
Okay.
let me write that down.
The other thing that we like to use a lot is that when we write out the sheet, sometimes we have headers that are long, sometimes we have data that's long, and we like to write the sheet such that the columns or rows are automatically sized to the size of our data. So it's the
Yes.
Excel auto size calls, auto size rows options. Are you doing that automatically, or is that when you say, because I noticed your days of the column were being sized to the text of the days of the week. So are you automatically auto-sizing when you're writing it out?
So I'm having a bit of trouble hearing just because there's a little bit of warbling. But as far as any kind of styling, we haven't. There's no functionality now that actually does any styling at all. If there are Excel sort of innate built-in styling things, those are probably going to be a lot easier just from what I'm seeing in the specification, that rather than creating custom styles. So if there's some kind of already built-in functionality for automatically generating styles, then that's probably going to be easier than just being able to define styles on the fly.
Okay, next question. You probably haven't gotten this far along, but I'd be interested in timing of how long would it take to write a sheet that has 100,000 rows and 30 columns.
Well, at the risk of maybe not knowing how this goes, we can give that a try. So let's just do maybe a 10 by, how do I want to do you said by 100,000 rows? Is that going to be right?
I don't want to crash your demo. I'm just asking if you tried that.
So let's do work. So worksheets dot add table, and then I want to clear that.
Those are not valid cell entries, though. Those are 2-element integers. I think you want 10,000 by 10 reshape of something rather than iota, or format each of that.
So do that. We'll do worksheets dot add, and we'll do that to test table at cell A1 by some style, and there we go.
You did a
Worksheets isn't defined.
You did a press
That's not
clear.
good.
I don't think that was intentional.
Oh, I did clear, didn't I?
Didn't want to say
So we'll
anything
just
at the time.
relink that. and then try it again. Worksheets.add test, and then build.main demo.
Drum rolls.
Oh, and there's no strings. Test2 A1 style and test. Okay.
Start your watches.
All right. And I'm accessing the file, so I can't write it.
But all the hard work had been done.
Yeah, so it looked like it was about 15 seconds for 10,000 rows there.
I don't
Maybe
think
maybe
it was
10
even that
seconds,
long.
but that's just me
mentally
guessing.
counting.
Can you do it again?
But then I
with the
stopped at
timer
6
on?
anyway. All right.
Yeah,
well,
so
is it
that, I
100?
mean, there's definitely room for optimization there because this is all just, like I said, Friday was the first day I was able to get Excel to actually open. So, and we can try that again just to erase worksheets.table, add, and then we'll start now. Yeah, so that's about as long as it takes. It's already finished.
Well, 4
And that's
seconds I
for
counted
10,000
to.
rows.
4 bananas.
Takes less time than it takes Excel to start.
That's true.
Nice work, thank you. I look forward to being a beta tester for this.
Sure.
I
And I would say, as far as like if there's any feature requests or functionality that is more urgent to you as the end user, then please get in touch with Morton. He and Paul are kind of the points of contact, I guess, as far as maybe not points of contact, but they're the arbiters of what comes next.
Yes,
So-
and one of the things I want to say in that context is that one of the design goals is that the software be modular and easily extensible, so that if Aaron wants graphs, he can clone the project and he can add graphs and he can submit a pull request and we'll add them. And freeze panes would be the same kind of thing. I hope we manage to put this together so that it would be easy for anybody if there, I mean, there's 10,000 of these features in Excel, right? There is no way we are going to add them all. But I think it's possible to put together a structure that will make it easy for somebody to say, well, I want to add footnotes or whatever, and do it in an hour and have it available for everybody. This is actually one of the best potential projects for community collaboration in GitHub that I've seen. Yeah, so, but we have to make the architecture support that.
Okay, any other questions for Nathan? No? Oh, well, Nathan, thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.